Have you ever heard of the greatest mystery in human history? Not pirate treasure, but the story of the 12 tribes of Israel, the cradle of the Bible. A kingdom that was once mighty, but then, poof, the 10 tribes disappeared without a trace. Where did they go? Who were they? And most importantly, did they really return in the end times as prophesied? This story has not only caused endless debate among scholars, but also sparked countless crazy theories from all over the world. It all started with Jacob, the father of an entire nation. He was no ordinary character. Once, he even wrestled with God himself, Genesis 32 verse 28, and was given a new name. Israel, he who struggled with God. Jacob had 12 sons, and from them, the 12 tribes of Israel were formed. Each son, each tribe, was promised a piece of land in the Promised Land, a place that the Israelites dreamed of as heaven on earth. But don't think this is a fairy tale. After the golden age of kings David and Solomon, the land of Israel fell into chaos. Greed, disobedience, and political intrigue split the kingdom into two. In the south was the kingdom of Judah, with only 2 tribes remaining, Judah and Benjamin. In the north was the kingdom of Israel, with the remaining 10 tribes, Reuben, Simeon, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, and the 2 tribes of Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Sounds like a complicated political drama, right? But here's the climax. The northern kingdom, Israel, disobeyed God. They built altars to false gods, ignored the warnings of prophets like Hosea and Amos. And the end result? In 722 BC, the Assyrian Empire came. One day, they conquered the entire northern kingdom, exiled the Israelites, and scattered them throughout the empire. The 10 tribes were never seen again, and the concept of the 10 lost tribes was born. But were they really missing? Or were they just secretly existing, waiting to appear to fulfill the prophecy? It was said that when they returned, it would be a sign of the end times. There are groups of people from Ethiopia, India, Afghanistan, and even the Americas who claim to be descendants of these tribes. So what? Are they really the chosen people? Or are they just contradictory legends? The answer remains open. But one thing is certain: the Bible, history, and prophecy continue to fuel the world's heated debate about the unfinished story of the 12 tribes of Israel, a historical mystery and a hope for the future. Imagine being part of one of the most thrilling stories in human history. The 10 tribes of Israel, once the foundation of a mighty kingdom, a chosen people of God, suddenly disappeared as if caught in a time vortex. But wait, did they really disappear? Or are they just quietly living among us, waiting to return to fulfill end-time prophecy? The story begins in 722 BC, when the overwhelming power of the Assyrian Empire wiped out the northern kingdom of Israel. The entire population from the tribes of Reuben, Simeon, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, and Manasseh were taken into exile. Where were they taken? A vast area spanning the entire Assyrian Empire. Imagine sitting quietly in your hometown, and the next day, they all vanish without a trace. But here's the mysterious part. The tribes did not literally disappear. The Bible and Jewish tradition say they were scattered, but they remained, like seeds sown in all 4 corners of the earth. Legends say the 10 tribes blended into other cultures, from Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and even the Americas. Some say they became part of other peoples, keeping their identities and traditions as family secrets, waiting for the day of reunion. The Bible even promises that they will return. Prophecies from Ezekiel to Isaiah speak of a time when God will gather all the tribes together, not only to restore Israel, but also to carry out his grand plan for the end times. Are these prophecies being fulfilled? Stories of communities like the Beta Israel of Ethiopia, the Bene Israel of India, or even the Pashtun of Afghanistan all raise the question: are they really descendants of the 10 lost tribes? Or are we trying to piece together a larger puzzle? The story of the 10 lost tribes is not only a historical mystery, but also a source of hope and suspense. When they return, it could signal major changes in human history. But until then, the question remains: Where did they go? And more importantly, did they ever really leave? Have you ever thought that the lost tribes of Israel, the central figures in one of the Bible's greatest mysteries, might be living among us? Far from being mere legends or myths, modern-day groups from around the world claim to be descendants of these tribes. But are they really the chosen people? Or are they just pretty campfire tales? Let's explore each group one by one and prepare to be amazed. 1. Beta Israel, Ethiopia, descendants of the tribe of Dan. In the remote lands of Ethiopia, a community called Beta Israel proudly proclaims that they are descendants of the tribe of Dan. For thousands of years, they have strictly maintained Jewish customs, from keeping the Sabbath, practicing circumcision, to following kosher. They claim that their ancestors left Israel, crossed Egypt, and settled in Ethiopia. And guess what? In the 20th century, Israel launched a series of campaigns to bring them back to their homeland, seeing them as part of a prophecy that was slowly coming true. 2. Bene Israel, India, descendants of Ephraim. On the west coast of India, the Bene Israel community believes they are descendants of the tribe of Ephraim. Legend has it that they drifted here after a shipwreck during their exile by Assyria. Despite living apart from the Jewish world, they have maintained traditions such as Sabbath observance, fasting, and circumcision. The miracle is that they have survived as an isolated Jewish community for centuries without losing their identity. 3. Pashtun, Afghanistan. Pakistan, descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh. You might be surprised, but the Pashtun, one of the largest ethnic groups in Afghanistan and Pakistan, claim to be descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh. They call themselves Bani Israel, children of Israel, and observe many customs similar to ancient Jewish law, such as circumcision on the 8th day and not eating pork. Some scholars call them the forgotten Jews, but the debate over their origins has never subsided. 4. Igbo, Nigeria, descendants of Gad and Zebulun. The Igbo community in Nigeria identifies itself as being from the tribe of Gad and Zebulun. They practice circumcision on the 8th day, follow a kosher diet, and even celebrate festivals that closely resemble those in the Bible. While their claims have not been officially recognized by the Jewish community, they have continued to seek to prove their Jewish heritage. 5. Lemba, Zimbabwe and South Africa, descendants of the tribe of Levi. If you need scientific proof, the Lemba of Zimbabwe and South Africa may surprise you. Not only do they claim to be descendants of the tribe of Levi, they also have Aaronic priestly DNA. They keep kosher, practice circumcision, and tell the story of their ancestors migrating from the Middle East through Yemen to Africa. Conclusion: fact or myth? These stories are not only inspiring but also controversial. Are they really descendants of the lost tribes? Or are they just beautiful tales that have been embellished over the centuries? Only time, and perhaps prophecy, will tell. But one thing is certain: the story of the lost tribes never ceases to be fascinating and mysterious. Imagine that one day, people who were thought to have disappeared thousands of years ago, the 10 lost tribes of Israel, suddenly reappear, gathering together to fulfill an ancient prophecy. More than just a myth, their return was described by prophets like Ezekiel and Isaiah as a monumental event that would not only change the history of Israel but would shake the entire world. Ezekiel 37 leaves a vivid image, a valley full of dry bones, where God breathes the breath of life into these bones, bringing them back to life, becoming a mighty army. It is not only a symbol of Israel's resurrection, but also a promise that God has not forgotten the lost tribes. His plan is not only to bring them back, but to unite them with the tribe of Judah, forming a new Israel, a single, strong nation led by the Messiah. Isaiah 11 verse 12 also suggests that this gathering is not limited to a local area, but a global one. God will set up a standard for the nations, and gather together the scattered of Israel, and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four winds. Picture the scene: from Ethiopia, India, Afghanistan, the Americas, and other far-flung places, people carrying their ancestral traditions, united in a journey back to the promised land. Nothing short of an epic movie. But here's the controversial part. Has it begun? Some see Israel's bringing groups like the Beta Israel of Ethiopia or the B'nai Israel of India into the country as a sign of the prophecy's fulfillment. Yet there are still other groups, from the Pashtun of Afghanistan to the Igbos of Nigeria, waiting for recognition. Could this reunion be just the beginning of something even bigger? The Bible also suggests that the return of the tribes will not only be a sign of Israel's revival, but also the beginning of the end times. The Messiah will rule, bringing peace and unity to a once divided world. So if we are living in a time when ancient prophecies are beginning to be fulfilled, the question is, do you recognize this sign? And where will you be when the greatest story in human history comes to an end? Have you ever wondered why the 10 lost tribes are mentioned in end-time Bible passages? Get ready, because the answer may give you goosebumps. In Revelation 7, 144,000 people, 12,000 from each tribe, are chosen to bear the mark of God and be protected during the Great Tribulation. This not only marks a divine plan for them, but also affirms that God's ultimate plan is unfolding right before our eyes. Imagine, when everything seems to be falling apart, with war, natural disasters, and chaos spreading, these 144,000 appear as God's final witnesses, playing a vital role in the fulfillment of His plan. They are not just warriors, but symbols of God's faithfulness and unfailing promise. This is not just a story about Israel, but a story of hope for all of humanity. But why is this so important? Because the emergence of the 10 lost tribes is not only a sign of the end times, but also a powerful reminder that God never forgets His promises. From the prophecies of Ezekiel to Isaiah to Revelation, everything revolves around the reunification of Israel, not just geographically but spiritually, with the 12 tribes united under the rule of the Messiah. However, this story is still controversial. Some believe that the lost tribes have re-emerged in the form of modern communities such as the Beta Israel in Ethiopia or the Pashtun in Afghanistan. Others question whether we understand these prophecies correctly. But regardless of your perspective, one thing is certain: every time the lost tribes are mentioned, the excitement for the end times only grows. So what do you think? Are we witnessing the fulfillment of one of the greatest plans in human history? If the story of the 10 lost tribes and their role in the end times excites you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to follow our next exciting videos. Let's explore ancient mysteries and how they are changing the modern world.